and welcome to the latest episode of Power Spike. After a shortened week, we're now on our schedule in terms of where we want to be, in terms of episode cadence. But there is a team in the world who is not quite on the same cadence of where they want to be on August 3rd of a season. That's right. We are indeed talking about Gen G, where things seem to be on fire after a disappointing run at the road to MSI. They back off, have a little bit of time to regather and rethink how they feel, and then get third at EWC. Not bad, but not necessarily where they want to be. And then for the first time since Chovy joins Gen G, they lose back-to-back games here in the LCK regular season. They go 0-2 at their homestand, disappointing the home crowd, which did outnumber the T1 fans and the D+ fans in both those losses. And so everything's on fire with Gen G. Let's dive into it. All right, gentlemen. Jamada and Yamato joining me as per usual. Kind of got ahead of myself a little bit there. All right. Gen G. A lot of problems here. And I think it's hard to diagnose, so we send it on over to Dr. Yamato to try and diagnose what's wrong with this team, because they are hitting the form that generally is reserved for T1 at this point of the year, but T1 have the backing of, well, we won Worlds last year and the last 2 years, actually the last 3 years.
Well, this team, Gen G, I think they've had the same issues for the longest time, but it kind of got hidden under the guise of incredible laning and just incredible individual play. I think the forefront of the meta was never, during the era of this roster, was never jungle support duo play. Because even when they had like upset losses, even against like when they lost against Katie that one time, it was because like the enemy jungle support just ran the map and they just pressured Chovy enough that they were in a situation where he just couldn't play his lane as he wanted to, and BDD kind of took over and they won. And now, by extension, I think that if you don't have the individual form to play like you did in the past, which they clearly don't have, like Ruler, Duro, Canyon, like their form is like in the past I thought they would be like a marble statue, but it's like made of butter, during a heat wave right now, like in terms of what the form is, it's all like fucking crumpled up, then it's all liquid, it's all good. And I think when you've relied on that individual performance, all the foundation of how you play is kind of catching up to you. Because I think that was the big one when they went into first stand. Jungle support, we saw such a big shift up. Even BFX, right, in terms of jungle support playing around mid, BFX and Gen G came to first stand and they had the same shock. It's like, yo, we have Vikla mid lane and we have Duro and Canyon, which seemingly they play like they hate each other, like in terms of how they are just on opposite sides of the map. And I think ever since they're just playing catch up. I don't know if Gen G, when it comes to Ruler specifically, if the whole drama surrounding like the whole tax thing, if that has gotten to him. Like we've seen other players seemingly be affected by things that are outside of the game. Like I think Scout is another great example of, he had his legal trouble and then, he never looked the same. Like, I don't know if this type of stress kind of gets to you, because that could be a part of the equation. But when it comes to Gen G, I just... it's no longer a slump. Like, that's the thing. It's like, there's no longer like, oh, they're just playing bad. It's like, at this point, it's hard to... You have to think back far to remember a moment where Canyon was like smurfing and we talked about him like he's the best jungler in his competition. Like, that's a long time ago. That's like, 2024, spring. It's a very, very long time ago. So for me, this team, it's like you have two solo laners that are performing super well, and the rest with very middling performances, and at the same time they're catching up meta-wise. Because against D+, at least we saw like some invades. They're playing Vi and Shen, they were invading camps, they're trying to get some advantages, but they're working on a style that they kind of rejected for for a lifetime, especially Canyon. Canyon rejected this lifestyle his whole career. He never played in a way where he tried to hit the beats of support and jungle. Damwon, the first version of Damwon, the reason it worked is because Barrel was one of the OGs that started roaming like a maniac and covered the job of jungle just so his jungle can farm as much as humanly possible and then kind of outplay you. And now, Judgment Day is here. It's like you don't have that mechanical edge anymore on anybody like you did. So you need to play foundationally sound League of Legends, and Gen G just don't have it.
Jamada, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the worrying thing is you get games like Game 2 versus T1 now as well, like mixed in here, where it's like Gen G had what, a 4 or 5k gold lead. Like those are games that you expect Gen G to close out. But problem is we're talking about, hey, like Canyon and Duro not playing together on the same page, Ruler like underperforming. All of the kill, and like obviously same for Canyon and Duro. All of the kills in that early game, just by virtue of how those skirmishes played out, all of the gold wasn't on Chovy, wasn't on Keen, it was all on Canyon, right? And so even in situations where these guys do end up getting gold and they do end up getting resources sometimes, they're not using them to the same level of efficacy that they historically have, right? And that point that Yamato was making, where there's a lot of leeway that you can give teams when they build up a certain level of credibility. And Gen G have, for what feels like forever now, domestically have built up so much credibility that we've sat here and we've been defending them for months now at this point, I think, to be fair. But we are now realistically at a point where this isn't just like Gen G are going through like rough times, but they're still getting results, right? Because like, it's fair to remember they're 14-5, 15-4. I forget the exact score. It's one of those two numbers right now. But because they have shown such a high level of dominance that even when they're kind of faltering, they're still holding off like on good day T1s. They're still holding off HLEs. Now they're not doing that, and they're starting to lose games which I would describe for them as embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing to drop a 4.5, 5k gold lead as Gen G under like any circumstance, even versus elite teams. Like, Gen G are the picture of consistency, especially domestically. And it's versus a T1, and I'm not sure if we're going to talk about them later because we fraud alerted them last week. So for them to 2-1 Gen G is quite funny. But versus a T1 that realistically has their own laundry list of issues as well. I think that's the headline for that. And then obviously there's what happened in the DK series, because I'm focused on the T1 series because I felt like that was like for me the slightly more agitating series to watch between the two, though I think both frustrating in their own right. But they just haven't fixed any of their issues that I don't want to say feel fixable, but it doesn't take a lot to figure out what they are. Right? I think we've been sat here and we've been throwing the tomatoes at them since April, since first stand.
For a while, yeah.
So the fact that there's been a lack of identifying that, I think, is the worrying thing. But at the end of the day, when teams have done as much winning domestically as Gen G, and then they start to go through a rut, I don't want to say it's impossible to come back from, but those teams take longer to come back from those issues because they don't tend to go through that turbulence. And I think that now is really the big question for Gen G is this now going to be the new norm? Because we've seen across the world that results will just happen to cut out a whole bunch of nuance. This year, like, hey, like Lion MSI nearly took HLE's heads off. We saw a bunch of other upsets. G2 BT1, right? Like, there's been so many upsets internationally, but also like domestically, we're getting it so frequently. But now, is this just a new level of Gen G? Like, is this what we should just expect from Gen G, where now all of a sudden, like, each series versus these elite teams, it's not Gen G favored like 60-40, like just default, like that's the default. It's now a lot closer to just raw 50-50s whilst they're trying to figure this out.
Yeah. And I tried to make a stronger effort this year to quantify how great the greatness of Gen G, right? One of the greatest, if not the greatest roster to not win a Worlds. How dominant they've been. This run has been amazing, and now for the first time in a long time, they are behind and don't have easy answers. Like it feels like we can point to where there are problems with T1. We can point to where the consistency and growth can happen from G2. There, we can point to all those things. We know why Han was going to lose. Like either, Kanavi giveth or he tooketh away.
Do you know why that is? It's because it feels like we've seen Gen G play to their ceiling already.
Mm.
Like how much better realistically can this 5 play without like going the distance at Worlds?
Sure. Maybe what? So I guess this is a separate question here, and I won't dive into it too much. But maybe the way that they played throughout their perfect season was greater than how some of these world championship runs were for T1. I don't know. The BLG one was kind of crazy. The 2024 one, kind of nuts. But it is. I think you bring up a great point of we've seen how great they can be, and they're just not close to that, and don't seem to be on the right track here, and don't have easy answers here. Is it? Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that for now. Things are on fire over at Gen G. Any final thoughts here, Yamato?
Oh, it's a very interesting time in the LCK. Like the top group, like we've seen KT and D+ like upset wins against anybody in the past, but I think the main difference here is that the top 3 teams in Gen G, How Life, and T1 are very flawed. Gen G in particular, this is not like a slump post a tournament or something. This is a reoccurring theme with these 3 teams. And I do think that the top group for LCK is like literally, like, not to sound cliche, but like in any of the matchups that can happen, anything can low-key kind of happen, which makes it even tougher because looking further ahead, there's a world where, looking at the issues of T1, HLE, and Gen G, there is a world where one of these guys don't make it to the World Championship. And that's crazy to consider.
That's reasonable now. It's crazy to consider in like the traditional lens of the LCK, but I think this year with everything that's happened, I'm numb to that idea. Like that feels normal now. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to stretch the segment on for too long, but I think the fact that, with getting these step ups from KT and DK is a really big spanner in the works. And I wonder if we're having these conversations now, and the very classic thing of, oh well, Gen G, HLE, and T1 just make it anyway for the sake of, like, it's functionally very, very rare in the LCK that you get like the non-expected like attendees to these tournaments, right? Like when BFX made it, that was a big surprise, right?
Yes.
Everyone thought like in winter that by the time, HLE kind of had to take the L because of the format in part, that the people showing up the first time were going to be Gen G and T1, and it didn't play out that way, right? Even to a degree, last split for MSI, when it came to it, I feel like most people just said, yeah, Gen G, HLE, like that's just going to be the way the cookie crumbles.
It's close.
And even if you go back further, like some of the I guess the more relevant one I can remember is like HLE Summer 2024, like them beating Gen G. Like most people had Gen G down. Like there were some people that had HLE down, but like I feel like the overwhelming majority was still Gen G. It's rare, basically, is the point I'm making. But it is 4 seeds at the end of the day. So I guess the question is like, who's gonna have to slot the play in?
Yeah.
At that point, because I still do think it will be Gen G, T1, HLE, but you never know. KT made it to World Finals last year, right? Like anything's possible.
KT, D+, both those squads 2-0 this week. They do play each other next week. But yeah, a wide open, one of the most wide open top 5s that the LCK has had in a long time. And with this format, there are no easy games There are no easy games. Last split, you had Nongshim there to beat the shit out of. You had KT. If you're one of the big three, it's like, okay, let's beat KT, whatever. But here, there are no easy outs, and it's awesome to watch unless you are one of these. Unless you're a Gen G, T1, and Hanwha fan, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what to expect. Maybe if you're a T1 fan, you're kind of used to that now. But for Hanwha and Gen G, I think it's a little bit scarier, but especially for Gen G, I think they might be the odd ones looking out here. Like, and we'll leave that segment for later. It's a long 3 more rounds plus playoffs before we get to our results. And it could have been worse if, again, Lion beat Hanwha and there were only 3 slots. And then we only get to take 3 of these 5 deserving teams so far, and that's not even including any of the Rise Group teams.
I kind of wish Lion won just for the drama in the LCK.
It would have been great if Lion won and it went to like Europe. Like I don't need to see a second fucking NA team. Like give me TL, give me Lion. I guess Cloud9 could slot in there. Give me Lion and whoever. I guess
Cloud9 could slot in there. Yo, Yamato, kill him.
No, because we got our next segment to go ahead and dive into that.
True.
Dignitas performance. After we remind you. That's a good one. That's the man who's been watching that. After we remind you about our new release here at Last Free Nation, it is LFN Premium. It is currently live now at lastfreenation.com. Again, you want to know more about a specific topic, well, you can deep dive on into it with LFN Premium. Again, LFN itself is collectively owned by all of us hosts and staff. There's no outside investment. No one who signs or checks tells us what we can and can't say. And your subscription keeps it that way. We dive into what you want to talk about with the Q&A, plus your special access at our Discord. We love our advertisers and they keep the lights on, but subscriptions keep us unbought. And we stay true to what we want to say, how we want to say it, when we want to say it. And every week, one subscriber submitted topic makes it onto the show. We credit you by name on air, our take, our platform, with your name supporting us along the way in this journey that we've had so far. Again, topics will be submitted through the private Discord channels that you get access to with your LFN Premium, and you'll be ad-free across all 16 LFN shows on Spotify and every podcast platform that we have it. Plus, we have bonus content that drops every show into that feed. So again, thank you for joining us along this journey. If you want to deepen your bond with us and help us continue to keep LFN free, then dive into it with the LFN Premium purchase. It is a $9 a month or $90 for a year, and that works out to $750 per month. Please pick Power Spike at sign up. Your subscription then pays our show directly, and there's a 7-day money-back guarantee, so go ahead, give it a try at lastfreenation.com. All right. Thank you so much to the homies, and if you have already, go ahead, submit those questions. We've got our question later on this show that Yamato and I will be able to dive into. Jamada can imagine, but Yamato and I can dive into it. All right, it's time for this week's Sack Tap. Let's get into it. All right, so the boys in Sky Blue, they eke by, but Yamato still had tweets for what he watched and saw, and so did Jamada. But again, Cloud9, they're 1-1. Game score was closer than what it looked like. The eye test, a little rough as well. So Yamato, what you got for us here this week's Sack Tap?
You know, bro. Think like if we lost the Dignitas right then and there, it's like just straight to retirement, boom. Just I think we should be a lot better than these guys. A win's a win, you know. A win on the board is important. What we did in game one was crazy. We had some crazy complications. But I feel like through and through, we were better than them. Like we were just kind of our own worst enemy at certain points in time, in terms of how we threw and how we, overforced situations that weren't necessary at all. And then, at least in game three, God bless, they just shook on it. It's a handshake Anivia. I've never seen an Anivia getting handshook. That was, but Palafox. Yeah, he takes risks like he's Prime Knight. I respect it, but you gotta dodge the abilities flying at you if that's what you gotta. That's how you're gonna play. Even last split, the game against Dignitas was wonky. There's something about Dignitas where, like the top of the table when they play against Dignitas, it just looks freaky for some reason. I don't know what it is. This series looked freaky. I think obviously we have a lot of work to do. But the main thing that I'm happy about, just to have a silver lining, is that we didn't lose balls. I was worried that the moment these things went wrong, that we would just revert into like, let's just stack dragons and do nothing. We kept diving, we kept playing, we kept engaging, and that to me was the best part. It's like you can fuck up, but how it affects you. How you stick the landing, that to me is the most important. And I like the fact that we, kept trucking on, and despite the mistakes, like the engage on Leona in game two, we pulled the trigger, and that to me was important, because I felt like that was something that was very bad last split. And when it came to the playoffs and the BO5s, it's like they grouped around dragons and never pulled the trigger, never got a good fight going, and it always looked so desperate. But here in this moment, it was like, okay, we are stronger here. Let's shoot our spells and get something done. So we kept our balls, we didn't get neutered, Ooh, we didn't turn into eunuchs after our mistakes. Silver lining.
Losing with Soul always feels rough, but give us your MVP of your team and MVP of Dignitas. Who gave you a tough run on the opposite side more than what you expected?
I think the Volcano had some crazy mechanical engages. I think that he was just very active in the Camille game. Like, not the early game. Our early game was kind of ass. But his engage angles were nice. I think his Renata as well found very good angles. I think that it just how we started the team fights was always good. I felt like because of Vulcan, so I'm gonna give it to him. I think on the other side, honestly, Denethor had some good team fights. I think like good opening. I think his Na game was solid. I think the first Aatrox fight was good too. I think that Dignitas just kind of struggle with making sure they farm sides, because like he was just bleeding, and Dignitas do this thing where they kind of overgroup and hope that a fight happens. And honestly, it took him far, because we did rise into them. But when you realize like that they are not farming side at all, like I think in the game 2 and game 3 we were like 50 CS ahead on both solo laners, because they were just overgrouping. I think if they figured that out, maybe some of the strengths can show up. And honestly, the rumored signing to bring in Dardok, that's kind of hype. That's kind of hype. Dardok has been tearing up tier 2, and it's the redemption arc is kind of sick to see. Dardok never lacked the talent, and if he's matured now, maybe they're gonna turn into demons. It's kind of hype.
I think it's I like the move. I feel like XU, great dude, has the right mindset. He's been given more than enough time to kind of elevate it. And I think if that's not the case, Dardok not only was in tier 2, tier 3, he was also in collegiate as well and participated in that, got to cast him in a final there. So Dardok has run the gamut of everything you could do that a pro from League Classic era League could do and still come back, right? So, we'll see what happens there. And then I love the Denethor shout, just having watched him over at Winthrop for such a long time, and that team was very fun. Denethor's dad, I don't know if he watches this, but shout out to Denethor's dad, who's supported him the whole time, all 4 years that Winthrop were an absolute force in North American Collegiate League of Legends. All right, Jamada, it's your turn. You had to watch that one. What did you make of the series?
Well, you asked about MVPs. I'm going to start here, man. For the game 1, I'm surprised, Yamato, you didn't give Loki MVP for Dig, bro. Because yeah, the results were crazy. It was actually very interesting because I went and watched shout out Cloud Sidke. I went and watched his interview with Dom. And actually hearing that some of them, not all of them, like the mid lane one specifically was probably the worst example. But that one was like actually came down to comms issue. Where it's like I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it was like, can we look here? And like Loki heard that as a we're going. Um Actually seeing that play out live is always, without that context, is always very funny, but actually getting the context is at least a little bit better. But yeah, no. I mean, still, like, a win is a win, but it's one of those like worrying ones where I saw game one and I thought to myself, very outwardly, actually, because I was co-streaming it, I said, that's the kind of game that you play where maybe having that 7-man roster doesn't feel too bad going into game two. Obviously, I know the goal still, nonetheless, is to try and maintain like a consistent 5. And thankfully, Loki's performance, well, he did get solo killed by Faker afterwards, but like it wasn't as bad, moving into the rest of the series. And I think holistically, the performance the performance of the rest of the series was acceptable. I think overall, like macro was fine. I think that's one thing that I can always kind of say about C9, even when they're like they look like they're struggling, is their map play is still generally towards the top end of the LCS, like always. I think that like TL and Lion obviously made like leaps and bounds, and I think a lot of that comes from their time at MSI. But that's still the thing that drives these guys quite far. And I think it's still very clear that in team fights, like the mechanical floor with Loki and Tactical In just feels a lot higher. Like there were multiple fights throughout that series where I looked at it and I just thought to myself, yeah, like if that was like Sven in, I don't think Sven would have done what Tactical just did in this fight. Like, do I think he would have run the bot skirmishes on Callista the same way that Tactical did? I could see Sven like doing a cheeky little overstep and dying, and you know what I mean? So like things like this, and that's not to bag on Sven, but obviously I've been critical of Sven the whole year for a reason. And I think it's the reason why Tactical's here now. And so yeah, I feel that this was one of the series, and I think that C9's run of schedule is actually very like generous, air quotes, in a way, where it's like they get the deep end game out of the way in TL. You get a temperature check and like how you're going to look against another top team. And then it's dig into DSG. And then FlyQuest, who, you know, that's like kind of your direct compare in terms of like pre-summer expectations, right in the middle. And then you go into another deep end game again into Lion. So I think this schedule actually feels really, really nice in terms of like time, in terms of level of opponent. And so even though like there was a bit of struggle versus Dig, I feel like DSG somehow, well, I say somehow, DSG just looked worse, right? And so now this just feels like another week of like, okay, we get to level up, play scrims, go into this DSG game, probably sweep them aside because this team is just completely dysfunctional. Which is sad because Sajid had a good start to the year, and so did Kryra. And then you go into that Lion game, Inspired will be back, and you're looking to knock them off their what will probably still at that point be undefeated horse because they play Dig and Sentinels, and I think they're just way better than the two team.
Yeah. I want to believe, but right now my eyes tell me this is a 1-2 in NA. So that's why, I said what I said, and I'm open. I'm open to be convinced otherwise, but right now we'll see what C9 have in store for us moving forward. Thank you, Yamato, for more sack tap. Okay. Let's move on here. Actually, let's do our next segment, Light. So we're going to do our next segment here into high key, low key, no key. And this kind of ties all into some of these bigger teams that we've been talking about and alluding to. You're like, oh, are we talking about T1 later? Oh, we didn't really talk about TL Lion yet over in LCS. Oh, you didn't really talk about LEC? Well, here's kind of the spot where we can talk about LEC. who's most likely to repeat as domestic champs after we've had now a couple of weeks of action here for the LEC? They had their roadshow, and a lot of those best teams already played, thanks to KC. LCK had surprises. LPL also a couple weeks in the book, but less surprises there. And then LCS, still kind of wondering what's going to happen with Inspired and Armeo kind of get their games on in. So high key, low key, no key, who's most likely to repeat as domestic champs? All right, gentlemen. We have our winners from last split in BLG for the LPL. We have, we'll call it Humble Life for LCK Road to MSI first seed. LEC, they're undeniable, always great, always will be there, right? In G2. And then Lion has showed up again for however many fingers. I think it's 7. Is it 8 championships that Inspires one? I think it's 7. For Lion, who's most likely to repeat? High key, low key, no key. Jamada, I'll go with you first. Give me your list. Yamato and I will go through it.
So how do we want to do it though? Do you want to go like region to region and high key, low key, no key the region, or do you want 3 separate like? Do you want
It's
high key,
the
low key,
winner.
no key,
Will they
and one is
repeat or
left out?
not? Come on, Jamada.
Okay, yeah, Jamada, what the fuck are you doing,
Sorry. Okay, my bad. Hey man, I'm on 3 hours of sleep. I think with NA, I'm pretty high key on Lion repeating championship. I think TL are good, and they're the only team that I think could dethrone them. But I feel like the ceiling on the Lion team is incredibly high. The only way I could see it not going Lion's way is just like TL's macro gets somehow even sharper, and the way that they play on the map with like Core and Jose somehow outdoes the way that Isles and Inspired click. I think in the LEC, I'm low, almost no key on this. I actually think there's a good chance, weirdly, that G2 end up not winning and going to Worlds as like 2nd seed. Front runners for me would be KC to do that. I feel like this KC team, if they get their shit together, man, like obviously I say get their shit together in the like context of they're currently top of the LEC already. And they've played all of their hard games, so theoretically regular season is almost effectively done for them. But you know, look at the Na'Vi series. It's like you don't watch the gameplay, you see it was a 2-0, you go, oh yeah, it makes sense that they 2-0 Na'Vi. Go watch back that series, bro, and see the nonsense going on. And that's what I'm talking about. Like they can't afford to have like messy games like that versus G2. But I think like Kalist is starting to actually clean up his issues. I still think he's like a habitual line stepper, is how I've always described Kalist. But if he's cooling off, then yeah, I feel like Yike and Busio are finally starting to kind of reconcile their desire to not be on the same side of the map as consistently, and that's a big deal for them. For the LPL, I think it's high key BLG are just there. I would be super surprised if BLG don't win summer. Even with all of the air quotes issues going on. This team looks serviceable with Bin out. Like, yeah. There's not really much to say. And obviously there's still like a lot of back and forth on whether Bin is maybe gonna return. Obviously there's the Flandre thing where it's like if Flandre comes in, then like sorry Wembo, you've done your job, but Flandre is just a market improvement on who you are as a player. There's not really much you can do about that. And in theory, that should make BLG even stronger. And I don't see AL, I don't see top esports beating these guys in the best of 5 without BLG completely shitting the bed to make that happen. I think they are completely outclassed in every aspect, top to bottom. And then for the LCK, I'm no key as hell on that. Yeah, like any team in the LCK in the top 5 right now, it feels like could end up going the distance. Earlier, obviously, I said typically the LCK just has a funny way of having, your expected attendee come first place. But look, I think this year has been very, very weird in multiple different regions. And right now it seems like LCK round 3-4, I was going to call it something, round 3-4 is no different. And if that means, D+ end up randomly first seed, I'm there for it. Like, I could see it happening. If it means, though, like T1, like, fix their issues and actually play a consistent summer split, which, based on how they drafted versus Gen G, I asked for more right clickers from FaZe. They gave FaZe 2 AD carry games.
Good.
And it looked pretty damn good. So, like, who's shocked? Who's surprised? I could see T1 winning some of this split. I don't think it's, like, comically, I actually don't think it's that far out of their reach if they stick to an identity of just saying fuck the majors and play their own thing. And of course, Gen G are turbulent, but they can always eventually come back, even if this is the new Gen G in terms of the inconsistency. So yeah, I'm no key on the LCK. I think anyone could come first there. I don't see HLE as like a locked in first place team.
All right, Yamato, tear it up. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree?
Honestly, that was, I have my biases about a certain region. I would move Lion from high key to a low key because I believe in my team. We have long to go, and also honestly, I low-key believe in TL too. Like, I think TL is dangerous.
I believe in TO as well, man. I do.
And I think TL is dangerous. And also, it's like. Spire is a legend and all, but my man is on break, He's going to come back. Like, imagine the friction in the team. Maybe the team wants to play with Armeo, like, maybe it's going to...
Hey,
I
look,
like it when you yell at me.
No, but, like, genuinely, Casper? No, like, you jest, but, like, obviously, because now you actually have to study the team. Like, they're playing a lot more loose now, now that he's gone. Like, it's a very marked change. I made the joke last week. I'll make it again. They are behaving like school children with a substitution teacher, bro, on the riff. They're not playing as slow, domestically, or like with the same level of discipline. Like they're skill checking, like everything. Like if they feel like they can hand check it, they're having fun right now. And there's even there was the funny tweet. Berserker added Inspired. He was like, "Stay on vacation, buddy."
Yeah, that was
Inspired replied, "That's the last Silas game you're gonna play. Or like, enjoy Silas while you can."
That's pretty funny.
So it's like it does make me wonder how systematically Lion may or may not change once Inspired comes back, because having a big voice like that missing from the room is a big deal for a while. Well, we don't know how missing he is, right? But if he's on like a full break and he's not even like maybe remotely showing up the scrims every now and again, then that's like a big change. But anyway, Yamato, carry on. Sorry, I derailed you.
Other than that, I think it's pretty sound. Yeah, I think like the easiest one to predict by far is BOG. I think like, bro, every team is a mess in the LPL. Every team made roster changes or they're just ass. Like JDG. So it's like LPL. I don't know. LPL is just a prank, and on top of that, BOG hasn't skipped a beat. Like they're also on some, the dictator's gone. We are free shit as well. Seeing Viper pick carries again, and they're restructuring the team. It's nice to watch, and I think probably the toughest one to predict by far is, I agree with you, is just the LCK. But like the things that we mentioned, that's like the no key. Not because I don't believe that the HLE can't win, because they could. It's more that there is 4 other teams now that can. And HLE, I was always worried about how their form will last. Because I do think that this is a team that just wasn't meta-proof. Because like if something shifts, it can be a drastic change. Because all of the players outside of Zeus are like meta Andes, like, oh, if the meta hits right, damn, they could be the best in their position. If not, then it's like, ooh, they need to like recover a bit, because fair play to Gumayushi. I'm a big Gumayushi fan, but like it's Cassiopeia, that snake should stay in the grass, like this is, this is not something we, sure it's regular season and you have leeway to be playful and do things around, but I do think that the LCK is probably like the toughest one to predict by far, and with the LCS, I'm kind of brain rotted by the first week because they did the throwback to Classic.
Yeah.
The LEC. It's like I still probably G2 still the favorite, but I think the difficulty of the prediction has gotten trickier because KC is improving and G2 has some issues that they need to solve together with Perks, right? And on top of that, like we've had 2 very close finals. Like KC could have won 2 finals, could have. And if we have a repeat of a series that is that close, Casey could take it. So I can definitely see the world of that. But it's just a question of competition. It's like actually have competition in potentially 4 teams, while G2 has competition in just 1. Because beyond KC, that is like, there's a whole different region being played. This is like there's 2 teams in the Ascend group, and then there's 8 teams in Nirvana. In Europe.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I think you hit the nail on the head for me, Yamato. It's high key LPL, low key LCS, LEC, and then no key LCK. I think it's just so hard for Hanwha to try and hold on to that same style of play, which has been brilliant to watch, and it was very easy to understand, easy to know why they were successful at it once they figured it out, but with the rise of D+ and all these rookies firing on all cylinders, and in an interview earlier, Career saying to CV Max, just treat me like an animal. And now you've got CV Max unleashed with how brilliant he can be. I think there's just too much competition there. And I'd like to give more props to any team in the LEC, but it's a 2-team race. I mean, it is just G2. And the major reason why I'm hesitant here for both Lion and for G2 are those changes. More and even a little bit for BLG. Like, we're joking about it. Like, oh, Dictator's gone, Bin's gone. When he slots back in, it is going to feel like a different team. When Inspired slots back in for Armeo, it is going to feel like a different team. When shit hits the fan for G2 and you don't have Dylan and you do have Perks, it's going to be different. And those parameters haven't happened yet, but that is my concern for all 3 of those teams. But the lead and the comfort and the skill that BLG have on the rest of the LPL, just a lot higher right now. So I'll wait and see what happens here with Hanwha moving forward, but I think this is pretty accurate. Let us know at home what you think about our rankings here for the return winners, the repeat winners. Will they be able to do it after what you've seen here in the 3rd split, whatever it's called in your region? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead. Giving you a little bit of time. Write your comment down. Hit the subscribe button. You good? All right, you're good. I think you're good. Also, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Raycon. Now, this message is sponsored by Raycon. Now, everyone, it is back to school season. Just in case you missed out on it, you guys generally will have to go back to school. And I've been thinking about one thing I really wish I had when I was back in school is Raycon's Everyday Earbuds Classic. Whether you're heading back to school yourself or shopping for a student that is going back, these are a great, essential back-to-school piece of equipment. The active noise cancellation is perfect for tuning out distractions when you're studying at the library, working on assignments, or trying to focus between classes. They sound amazing and are comfortable to wear, and I've been loving them. Legit. When I went to France earlier, I would not have been able to survive without them. I have 2 cell phones when I travel overseas, one with my US number, and I can tether because there's no roaming costs with it. And then my Korean phone, which is more up to date, but I'm able to connect to both of them using Raycon's multi-point connectivity, which is awesome. And it really saved me while I was needing to like bounce back and forth between phones. Now, other upgrades that Raycons are packed with are active noise cancellation with a bunch of different modes. You can go ahead push it if you want to hear what's around you with the awareness mode, or if you want even more ANC mode so that you can block everything out. That one has you covered. And it's a great ergonomic design that stays put no matter what you're doing. Also, the colors are awesome. I've got the cool mint and the rose gold. A lot of people like gunmetal black. You know, you want to keep it simple, you can get that one too. But I like showing off like a piece of my personality here with the extra colors that you can get from the Raycons. And here's the kicker. Raycon delivers the same premium audio quality as the big brands, but at half the price. Add in over 3 million happy customers and a 30-day happiness guarantee, and there's zero reason to overpay. Plus, if you're forgetful, no worries. The quick charge function gives you 90 minutes of playtime with just 10 minutes of charging. But if you're a planner, don't worry. It gives you 32 hours of battery life with the case, so it is good to go with one big charge. The Everyday Earbuds Classics are perfect for your back-to-school companion. Go to buyraycon.com/powerspike to get 20% off. That's buyraycon.com/powerspike to get 20% off. Thanks to our friends over at Raycon. Again, I love reading these out for you, especially when I use it myself. Go get them. Go check them out. You don't really need to go anywhere else. Another anecdote I have for you. Wolf has weird-sized earbuds, ear holes. He always complains about it when we have to wear the in-ear during work over at the LCK or wherever we're doing broadcasts. Comes with the different ear sizes. So if you got weird ear sizes and you're insecure about it like Wolf is, Raycon's got you covered. Sorry,
He knows
Wolf.
so much about his ear holes.
Yep. I mean, he talks about it a lot. All right. Let's dive into our final topic of the day. It is the Galaxy Brain Club time, where we're talking about this meta change that we thought was coming. We're like, all right, mages are here. It's time. AD carry, stop bitching and complaining. And then this week didn't bring as many mages as we thought here. So let's dive into it. This week's Galaxy Brain Club. What is the meta? Jamada, let's start with you here because I know that you were big on calling out the AD carries, like myself, about having to learn a little bit and spread my champ pool, learn new skill sets. And this was after Gumayushi already come out and said, you know, I kind of feel like when I decided to be a bot laner, there was a specific utility that was going to come with it, and that's click it. I thought my mechanics, auto attacking would be what I learned as a bot laner. And he left it at that, and that made all the crowds be like, see, it should be just bot laners and bot. And then it kind of turned out that way this week. So what do you think happened here, Jamada?
I just want to call out Gumayushi for a second because his most prolific player of all time is on Lethality Varus.
Yeah.
And he's arguably made a career on playing caster AD carries.
Yep.
He's not the guy that right clicks on Jinx and Zeri and he's a Felios.
He does on Jinx. He does on Jinx. He does on Jinx.
He's
not
he's
so
nice
much on
the
Zeri.
Jinx. Hey, listen. He's nice on the Jinx sticks, but like it's not something that, well, especially now that we're in Fearless, but like even when we weren't in Fearless, like he wasn't going back to it like that, you know, like even during MSI 23, that was like the bigger Felios Jinx meta. Is like he was much better on one half of that handshake than the other. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think right now we're in this weird fork in the road with the meta. And it's quite simple. It's either we go down this really deep rabbit hole where we have, you know, a Kali bot into Victor, Jace Silas bot lane matchups, and we start going into like Bruiser bot territory. Or some teams, much like I said, T1, I think, like, look, Paze is the best. I think Paze is the best AD carry player in the world right now. I think on form, there's an argument to be made that he is the best player in the world right now. give that brother whatever he wants to play. If he doesn't want to play mages and he wants to play, Lucia Milio lanes, he wants to play Ezreal lanes, he wants to play, a Kai'Sa lane every now and again, give him those. Just let that happen. And I think that's the other path because the Balance team have already kind of come out and they're being very, shall we say, receptive to the loud crowd of big baby bitch AD carry players who are like, wow, I started playing AD carry. You're playing bot lane, AD carry because I want to right click things, and like you can still play them, but mages will be annoying. That's just how it is, right? Because the Balance team is being receptive to that feedback and could potentially find a way to nerf mages out of bot. I have no idea how they're going to do it, and I don't envy the the position they're in. You just go back to traditional AD carries slowly but surely. And I think this is just going to be on a team by team basis, right? Because I think it's very clear, and it's also, I think it's a reason as of late, maybe the last month and a half, why so many games look so volatile. Is because I feel like a lot of teams potentially are forcing these angles, and they're not as comfortable on these picks as they'd like to believe they are compared to the traditional team comp setups.
Yeah.
I don't have any express examples of games where I've looked at it and I've gone, wow, this guy's shit on a mage. But like, I feel like that could easily be a contributing factor, like as to why we've seen so much volatility. But I don't think it's a terrible idea for some teams. Like T1 is probably the most textbook example I could give you right now of a team that should just maybe stray away from the mages unless it contextually just makes sense. Like you need Ziggs in this draft or whatever it may be. Because I don't think they're going to be around forever. And I think Riot are, as much as they love diversity, and it's been a big thing. I'm a jungle player. For years, I've had to play all kinds of bullshit in my role. I could see them trying to find a way to try and force that pool of champions out. And if they can, I think, sadly, we're at a point where I think they will. I think they're going to buckle to this pressure because it's so vocal. Because the symptoms that it causes of supports just walking around the map and impacting other lanes, right? It's the exact reason why people don't like jungle. People in their head have a fantasy of how they want to play the game. And it's the same thing for pro players too, right? Don't get me wrong. Where they want to play out their lane, in isolation 1v1. And if Mage's bot is enabling effectively a second jungler to be on the map, then this is going to be a short-lived thing. And it might even not make it to Worlds, which I thought we would stretch this out to Worlds. I'm not so confident anymore.
I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah. So I think that this meta isn't like fake. I think mages are good. And I think going back to that fork in the road point, I think we should go down that first path. I think this can very easily end up being a rock paper scissors kind of scenario where we start ending up seeing some bruisers or some weird 1v1 champs being picked up by bot laners. But I just don't see a world where Riot doesn't try to just stop this from happening, unfortunately. Which is a shame. But I think it's in part their fault for not trying to... I don't want to say not trying to make this happen sooner, but we only had this happen one other time since we've had the established 5 roles, and it was in Season 8.
And they fixed that quick.
And not only did they fix that quick, I feel like a part of the contributing factor, one of the most prolific AD carries of all time decided to take a break. In Reckless. Reckless said, fuck this shit, I'm out. And they had to play... Who had to play bot that season? It was
Whipple.
Bwipo, yeah. Bwipo had to play bot instead. And it's funny because then he started playing Garen Yumi. That was all Reckless. Anyway. Yeah.
All right. Yamato, get in there.
I like it.
Yamato, get in there.
Yeah.
I don't mind it at all. I think the main issue of the game right now is what I've said since the beginning, and now it seems like Riot is making those changes. This support is just a little bit too unleashed on the map. I think if that's fixed, I think everything else falls into place too, because now it's basically like an arms race where most bot lanes with ADCs are either standalone ADCs with either like big mobility or some form of course, utility, whether it's Jhin, Corki, Ezreal, and every other bot lane with ADCs are, of course, these powerhouse duos, whether it's Yunara Lulu or Bard Kate or Karma Ezreal or Lucian Milio. I think the main issue of the game right now is just that supports are just running wild. That there's too little of a punishment for them running wild. They get support quests faster because they're consistently fighting. They have catch-up experience that just allows them to whiplash back into relevant levels, and they get so much gold as well, because if you fight with your support quest, you just get more gold out of your stacks than you last hitting minions. And with these issues in mind, I think that if you solve the problem of how much supports can roam, whether it's by denying them more XP in lanes, whether it's, of course, delaying the support quest, denying how much gold they get, then I think everything kind of returns to normalcy a little bit more. I do think that the benefit, though, of having the possibility of playing AP's bot, I think like everyone's mind is a little bit more open. And I think that this will be leveraged to, of course, create better matchup scenarios in your solo lanes. And I think adding that layer of thinking to pro play, I think is a positive thing. Like if people are capable of just sending any champion into bot lane position, I do think this is a skill set that ADCs should be able to leverage over their opponents. I do agree with something that Isle said in an interview, where I do think that the whole swapping at second 20 or in Champion Select, like it's an old Western movie, like you're drawing your gun or something. Don't need that shit. I think if we were allowed to create a circumstance where players were allowed to lane in different lanes in the game, I think that would be a positive change. But I do think that there are cases where that would be abused, but it would be nice. Like if you have the skill set in your team, let's say like suddenly, tactical lanes mid and low-key lanes bot, because they have more proficiency on the champs and they're comfortable to lane. This is what we did in Vitality. I've done it in many teams where like our solo lanes would switch lanes depending on the matchups. I think that is a skill set, especially in-game. Like I don't think that you should be caged away from it, because when they released the support quest, like all the quests, you actually picked your quest in-game when you loaded in.
Yep.
And obviously for solo queue, that would be problematic. And maybe that is where the distinction lies, where, they need to make the game as similar to solo queue as possible. But I do miss that aspect. And I don't like that it's like some crazy swap thing at 20. So just nerf supports and everything else will fall into place, I think.
So a lot of people weighed in on it. LS, my homie, has weighed in on it. And he had like a really long longer thing. One thing out of the many things he said in it was that what is the cost, especially in solo queue, of a support tanking his game, hit level 2, tanking his game, ganking mid, ganking top, getting a kill, or blowing the summoner that allows the jungler to come in and then coming back? What is that cost that Riot needs to find that then says, hey, if you do this, it needs to lead to a kill to be successful? Like, how punishing is it? Because I think they went from 25% to 33% is like the XP amount that gets taken down. So I think he has a solid point here in terms of this system feels more flawed until they figure out what that amount is so that it goes away. Like, I think Riot need to do like, if they want to try and find it by worlds, they need to like go way too far to the point where it's like, all right, it's 50% XP that you end up losing, and then people stop doing it. And then you can start easing it back on in. Because right now, it just feels like in solo queue, you would always do that. Do that to tilt your mid laner, or tilt the opposing mid laner, tilt the opposing top laner, and then come back to your bot lane. Just be like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what it is. And you still get a support a little bit later but you still get to play AD carry instead of having to learn a mage, because that's kind of why I'm not playing right now. Like I've come back from France. I haven't played in like 2.5 months, and I don't want to come in here and play Syndra or play Vlad or something like that. I don't want to have to do that. I want to come back to the game that I know. Yes, I'm the target audience, Jamada.
Yeah. I think there's because I know there was changes and I can't recall exactly all of them that were tabled. One of them was obviously like the reduced XP thing. I think another thing, if I recall the exact quest like penalty properly, that lasts until level 3. And then once you're level 3, that penalty goes away and it goes back to being like normal shared XP.
Yeah,
Rise that level up to like level 4 or like even maybe 5. And, like, I'm
I
sure
think it was
they've
5. Yeah,
that's what they've done. They've raised it to 5.
They're planning
let me-
to, yeah. That's what
yeah.
Frost
That's what they're
said
planning
in
to do.
the-
Okay, good. Okay, good. Then that's good. But then the other thing you mentioned, catch up XP as well. Jat did a fantastic segment on the LCS about this exact thing, because obviously lower champion level kills are also worth less XP. So there was a stretch of plays that I want to say it was Isles on Camille made, where he's like diving people that are 3 levels, 4 levels above him, and he's 1-for-1ing, and it's like he's not even getting kill, like he's not getting the kill credit, he's getting the assist, but Isles for participating in these kills is getting like 50 to 60% of an XP bar, and the guy killing him is getting maybe 10%. And it's like, how much do we make those kills worth now? Like, is that something that we maybe juggle? Like, how do we rebalance that? Because I think that's also silently a very, very big deal. Like in the very similar way, like kind of on the opposite end and to do with gold, how like bounty hunting, I think, is a big, big thing in like this year's league. Especially when I think it's why we see so many teams like come back from deficits, is like silly amounts of gold get handed to players at time. Actually, Dig C9, there was FBI on the Victor game. I think he got like 3k gold worth of shutdowns. Like that's a big deal. And I think in the very same way that supports can kind of do bullshit and hand over like a little bit of gold because they're not worth as much when they're that low level. I think the XP thing is also another big deal where they're just not worth as much XP to the higher member enemy team that they're killing because they're doing so much roaming as well.
Yamato, you had thoughts there?
No, I'm good. I just I just wanted to throw in ADCs. Like if we did personality tests, I do think like ADCs are just like the most entitled and self-centered people in League of Legends. Which it's like I think it's weird how personalities kind of show through the champions you choose. Like I do think like your League of Legends champions is like a personality test for sure.
People are generally surprised when I tell them I play ADC because that one doesn't fit. But generally,
Yeah, you're
it
too
fits.
chipper. Yeah, you're too.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, that does it for our meta deep dive for now. As of August, again, new patch coming on out. I think the Belveth changes and Kaisa buff coming on in. So that'll be the next patch that will be played soon. 2615, I believe it is. This most recent week of LCK was on 2614. This might be one of the first times where we go back-to-back changes in the LCK because we came in on an awkward week. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that the new patch has some changes there. So we'll see. All right, everyone. That is all of what we got here for Power Spike. We did have one question here. Let me see if I can find it. Where's our LFN premium question? Hold on one second. All right, there it is. I found it. So for those of you that want to knock this one out, here it is. If you want your questions answered on here, please let us know in the comments below. This is from our friend Tallahassee. I need to
Supervisor.
find it. It's shorthand is Tallahassee, but I think it's Tallahassee Riot Supervisor. There we go. Tallahassee Riot Supervisor asks, what is the biggest difference living in Korea as opposed to living in the US? Yamato, obviously, you spent time in the US, but I think kind of go at it as what has been the biggest difference between living in Korea and not living in Korea.
Honestly, I gotta say that there is a level of safety that you feel in Korea. There's a level of depending on where you are, there's like a fire that is like burning in the city where like there is something active if you like seek to it, like you can find like a fried chicken place that is going to be insane with nice beers and at like 2 a.m. and you're going to have a great time. And I do think like the standard of hospitality and the general safety in Korea is like super, super nice. There is like if you walk in the streets at night, there's like a level of heightened anxiety that you have that I felt when I was in the US, or if I feel like I'm walking in Germany. Like if I walk in the city that I'm living in right now in the middle of the night, like any noise will make me feel like squeamish, like, we begin to plan scenarios in the heads. Like if I get attacked by like 8 ninja warriors, like, well, how am I going to react? You begin to like plan scenarios out in your mind, because of the stress. And then it's like a part of you is like, you walk a little bit faster, you do like a light jog sometimes, it's like way too late. You're like, there's an anxiety to it. In Korea, I never felt that, like just walking down the street, it feels insanely safe. And the energy from everybody else is also the same. It's like there is no like I know it's the life is very different for ladies, right? It's like for a lady to walk on like in the middle of the night, must feel fucking horrible. It's anytime my fiance had to like walk home from a train station, I always went to pick up if it's dark. I just go there and pick her up. Because it's just there's a feeling of unsafety. But it's like in Korea, you don't have that. And then I think the fact that you have 24-hour shops. I don't know how they run a profitable business, because there's a 24-hour shop in every 180 degrees of a view span. There's always a 24-hour shop. You turn around, 24-hour shop, 24-hour shop, and they have some good stuff. They have frozen coffees, they have some good snacks. Like you'll always survive well. And like the last time I was in Korea with just stayed there for 3 weeks with, of course, Dom and Rachel, and we met each other then. There was always something to do. We could just find the virtual golf and go play. Like there's always something to do, which is amazing. And I think that's something that at least in Europe we don't have. Like there's no nightlife like that.
Yeah. I think for me, just to hammer that in, there's this sense of like community/national ethics that you kind of follow. There's an ethical protocol that is instilled. People follow the rules because that's what you do in Korea, which, I think that's why when crime happens in Korea, it's such a big deal, because it is it's such a big piece of distrust being utilized by an individual or by a group. It also makes it easier to do, but I think also because of, there are like cameras everywhere, but they're not proactive, like kind of in how China has like their credit score and there's facial recognition stuff. In Korea, it's more reactive. So it's just like, okay, well, let's go back to when this happened and let's go see from there. So I think because of all that, the society just treats everyone at least with a level of respect that you just don't normally get, because everyone acts with a level of decorum that doesn't normally happen. So I think that is such a big thing, because it leads to the safety. Like safety is such a very different thing. I was thinking about it when I was in France and walking in the streets. Same thing that Yamato was saying. I was like,
oh man,
just trying to in Paris, just been way more aware than what I needed to be on the way to go have a beer too, to be less aware. It's I think it's that. And then, from the esports standpoint, like the fan culture, like literally the DN Automotive Supers have lost a season straight worth of games, 18 series in a row. And that was some of the loudest cheering I had heard from a fan base, like probably louder than any LCS match that I had been to, like in my time there. They were desperate. This is a regular season game. They were desperate for a win. And I think trying to quantify that to people, and this is our last place, least popular team, and then trying to explain the anomaly that is T1 and Hanwha and Gumayushi and Faker, right? It is very difficult for people outside of Korea to understand how massive the fan base is. And if you are a fan of Guma and Hanwha or Faker in T1 and you live outside of it, that's great. But inside of it is crazy. Like, they are national heroes. They're national heroes, dude. It's really, really, really hard to try and explain. But then there are also normal dudes that I see in the hallways, fist bump, say good luck to, like, and for Yamato when he was coaching against them, they're just the opponent, And so watching like Faker balance becoming a policeman, also receiving the presidential highest established award that you can receive, the Blue Dragon Award, but then also be on the face of ramen noodle boxes, and then also star in a fake K-drama with whoever he starred with, I think it was Karina, for that Google Play series. It's just really hard to quantify then when you see him in Korea. So I think that's probably like one of the biggest changes that I've had to get used to. The safety and just how big and how normalized esports is here in Korea. It is a great thing to be a part of, but also it's just people that come and visit that are in esports, that aren't in esports, are always shocked by it, and I forget and take it for granted now. So there you go. There's our Q&A. Jamada, you getting weigh in when you come on out here?
when I move to Korea or visit, yeah.
But thank you again. If you want to have your questions asked here and answered, sign up for LFN Premium, $9, or for the whole year, $7.50 a month for the whole year, and continue to help us set sail freely here on LFN. We really appreciate it. For those of you that are going to want to see how things change and turn up here in week 11 of the LCK, or week 3 of the LEC, or week 3 of the LCS, or whatever week it is over in the LPL. I believe it's also week 3 of their Ascend and Nirvana groups. Make sure to tune on in. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in to our new scheduled day. These Mondays, we're going to try to knock these out every day. On behalf of everyone here, thank you so much for watching. See ya.